Hi, everyone. Okay, it looks like we have enough for a quorum. Jared, the meeting is recording. Okay. So I'll call this special meeting for Kent Park and Rec to order at 5:03 p.m. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, and at this time, we do not need to elevate any alternates. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And I do not believe that we have any members of the public on just yet. Jared, was there anyone who said that they were not going to be able to attend?
Mike just emailed a little while ago and said he couldn't make it, but that was it.
Okay. And you didn't hear from Rufus?
No, I never heard back from him.
Okay, let me just text Abigail real fast.
Abigail, I saw yesterday. She said she was coming, so.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Abigail's here.
Feel like every message that I send tonight right away ends up resolving. So we'll just wait for Kate to get back and then we can move on.
She's back.
Okay, so the first item on the agenda tonight is the election of a commission chair, which we were supposed to do in our first January meeting, regular meeting. But if you guys can remember, we had issues with the schedule and getting that up. So we moved it to tonight's special meeting instead of delaying it till our February regular meeting. So the way that this works, we take nominations from the floor and then vote on them. And then assuming everybody agrees on the same person or we have a consensus, then we'll make a motion to have whoever that may be the chair through for 2023. So does anyone have anyone they'd like to elect to be the chairperson for 2023?
I would love to renominate you, Julia, as chair if you are open to it. I think you've been doing an incredible job.
Thank you. I'm open to it. But also respect if there's anybody else who is interested in doing it. Or other ideas, but I'm happy to serve another year.
Here.
He would have been my nomination.
Thank you.
Me too.
Okay, it sounds like we have a consensus then. Could we have a motion to elect Julia Neff as Parks and Rec chairperson for 2023?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Who said so moved?
Kate.
Okay, thank you, Kate.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Julia.
Yeah, no, of course. Thank you all. Thank you all. You all make it so much easier to do this and a pleasure to do it. So thank you. Okay, so moving on, the discussion regarding purchasing a CT State surplus truck.
Okay, so
Jared.
we have
on
an
that?
we have an opportunity to purchase a used truck from the state, a used Chevy Silverado for a cost of $6,205. It looks like this truck was probably used by DEP or something similar, whatever the state equivalent is. And basically Rick was had been trying to get dibs on a truck over at the state. He finally did. And then his guys told him it wasn't the type of truck they wanted because it has a crew cab, which they don't want. So he still had his place in line and asked if we would want it. So I contacted the state and they said we had until tonight to let them know. So we got the meeting obviously on the agenda. Basically, the truck has 150,000 miles on it, thereabout, and but it's in good running condition. And sorry, I'm in the gym at the school and all the lights are going out because I'm not moving. So yeah, we need a vehicle to transport equipment around, sports equipment, field equipment, and this is a really good price for one. So I figured since we had the opportunity, we should pursue it. And we do have the money in the parks maintenance line. We still have over 50% of the budget in that, which is well over $20,000. So I spoke to Barbara about it, and we're totally okay to move forward.
Can I ask just a point of clarification? What's a crew cab?
So crew cab means you can have people, there's a back seat, which we don't need, but it would be great to actually have storage space that's covered besides the bed. So I actually think it's an advantage because, you know, if we're storing stuff, let's say we pack up for an event the night before it, but there's some stuff we don't want to leave, you know, outside in the bed of the truck, like folding tables, etc. We can leave in the bed, but maybe we want to, you know, program equipment to be covered. We can put that in the back seat, which is always a bonus.
Yeah, that's actually good. I was a little worried that the only space would be an outdoor space, and that might actually not be great. But
Yeah, exactly. And basically, just so you guys have an idea of how good of a deal this is, these trucks, if they don't get purchased by a municipality, they automatically go to auction, and they're selling for about 2 times. They're selling for over 10. At auction, they're selling for over $10,000. Trucks in the same range. So this is a really good opportunity.
I also went by the area, that place in New Milford that we had discussed last time, about getting one of those small, like
Mini trucks?
baby pickup trucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks like those trucks a lot of those are in the $6,000 range.
They are, yeah. When I went there, he said anything under 6,000 probably isn't going to really run. So if you see a truck listed for that, it's more like a parts truck, but 6,000 and up are for a running truck. So this is the same price for a much bigger vehicle, and it's not right-hand drive manual. So considering that I have I don't really want to learn how to drive manual and use the stick shift with my left hand. I think this is the no-brainer option.
No, I
I
think
just
it's in
have a
pretty good
question.
condition. We think it's in pretty, I mean, like tires or, I mean,
Yeah, so I don't know if you looked at everything on the website that I sent over, but that has all the pictures and everything of it, and
I
it's
only saw one picture, so I couldn't really.
Okay, yeah, there should be somewhere in there is a photo album. So I went through it all with Rick, and he was ready to purchase the vehicle if his guys had wanted it, and he said it's definitely a good in good condition. And then you know, we would for sure when we get it would want, sorry, I'm just trying to get the lights back on. We would want you know, I already spoke to the local repair shop, and they said, you know, they would just give it a once over for us and make sure everything is up to snuff.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, my questions were just about, because it's got the 150,000, you know, what kind of budget we would need for any repair or maintenance that we'd want to have ongoing. And
Yeah,
what we think the total fee is, like because I just think there's some ongoing, there's the maintenance and then the registration and
Yeah,
the
so we don't have to
insurance.
register.
You don't have to deal with that.
No,
Okay.
all we do is put it on, it becomes a part of the town's like fleet, so it just goes onto the town's, the insurance, which doesn't sound like there, it would be a nominal charge to us, because we already have a, you know, fleet of whatever, a dozen vehicles or whatnot. And then we don't have to have it registered, and Rick would just basically put a plate on it for us. And they just report that to the state, so we don't have to do anything extra. We literally would drive the vehicle off the lot, put a license plate on it, and be set. And as for repairs and whatever else, I honestly couldn't tell you. I mean, if the thing became a money pit, you know, that would be something we'd have to address. But it, like I said, I'm going from my discussion with Rick, who knows a lot more about vehicles than I do. I mean, he's been doing it for, you know, whatever, 30 years now. And he felt this would be for what we want to use it for, which is trips around town, maybe to New Milford, maybe to Torrington. He thinks it'll, you know, we'll certainly get, you know, at least a half dozen years out of it. I mean,
Yes.
extenuating circumstances, you know, could happen, but I don't, you know.
My thought, my conception of this truck is that it's basically something that we're going to use around town for moving equipment, but this isn't like highway driving type.
Yeah, no,
We
I
don't really
mean,
have a need for that.
unless we had to go somewhere to literally pick something up, a piece of equipment, machinery, it would just be local trips, or, you know, down 7, or like I said, over to Torrington. And I did speak with Mike, who has a Silverado, and I told him it was 150,000. He said he felt that's, you know, that's a fine number. He didn't feel like his experience with the Silverado is that it has longevity, you know.
And only because this is, I believe, this group's first foray into having a vehicle for the Park and Rec. I have just one more question about gas
Mhm.
and how that's covered.
So we already have a gas line that's about $1,000 because everything was done. So like I would be reimbursed gas up we have a budget of about 1,000. So that would be basically, we would use that for gas at the town garage, and we'd be paying obviously a fraction of a price of what I pay personally. So you can expect that gas budget will basically, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it'll go double the distance now. Given the fact that we're getting gas at a cheaper price. And when I get reimbursed gas, I also get reimbursed wear and tear. So considering now that money would just be going towards gas, we'll get twice the amount out of it. So I think we budgeted for that already for this year at 1,000, or this coming fiscal year, I should say. And I think that would be totally fine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're
No, yeah.
factoring
Dot
it
the
into our
I's and cross
numbers.
the T's. Yeah, of
Awesome. Thanks, Jared.
course. And just I just want to mention there at the commission meeting the other day, there was there was someone who was concerned about whether or not we actually needed the truck. And I'll just to reiterate, and I know I've said it to you guys a lot, you know, my car is loaded with rec stuff almost all the time. The other day we had to move 2 basketball hoops from the school, and we literally had to put them in Shane's car and bungee cord his trunk closed to get them back to town hall. So really, you know, I understand in the past why it may not have been necessary, but we have, you know, programs now, sports programs, you know, approaching 80, 90 kids, you know, a session, and we're doing way more than we ever have at a variety of locations, not the least of which is Club Getaway, the schools, the community house. So I think $6,000 for a truck that'll last us, you know, like I said, at least a half dozen years. It's going to save wear and tear on all of our personal vehicles. And just, you know, make our lives easier. You know, when we went to pick up the pumpkins and the supplies for the pumpkin decorating event, I actually met another rec director over there who was doing the same thing, so we could say hi and whatnot. He had all the stuff loaded into a pickup truck. I had to make 3 separate trips to the farm and back, putting it into my SUV. And then it took me about a month to get all the hay out of the back of my car. So I think, you know, we're a modern rec department now, and it's time to, you know, move forward accordingly. So just to address that concern that was laid out at the Board of Selectmen meeting, we need it. We do. So yeah, that's all.
And I think that this group discussed that pretty thoroughly during the budget.
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments on this?
Oh, just another point. We are exempt from, so not exempt, But according to the town's policies and procedures manual, we do not need to go out to bid on this, but it's also coming from the state, so we're exempt anyway. And it's considered a great value, so that there's a clause in there, you know, if the available price is considered a better price than you could get from any other source, that we're able to take advantage of that. So in all three ways, we do not need to go out to bid on this.
I just think a pickup truck is a great, for the role it's gonna play, I think a pickup truck is a great vehicle, just,
Yeah.
you know, for what you're gonna be using it for.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust me, we'll get more than enough use out of this for sure. And I think it'll make our lives easier too, you know. Every time I want to do something that needs a pickup truck, it's like, hey, Rick, can I use a truck? Oh, when are you available? When am I available? Now we'll be able to do what we want when we need to. And I think just from Rick's point of view too, you know, highway is busy all the time. They don't need me constantly knocking on their door asking to borrow a vehicle, you know. So
Yeah, I was just about to say we all owe Rick a thanks for everything that he's done for us.
no doubt.
I just have one question, Jared. Are you going to be the sole driver for this?
No, so we would obviously want whoever our camp director is, Tom for ASP, you know, he sometimes, you know, is moving stuff back and forth. So basically want any staff that is, has a driver's license to be able to, operate the vehicle. You know, provided their driver's license is in, you know, good condition.
Is that okay by the insurance company?
We'll have to double check on that, but I don't believe it wouldn't be. You know, as the highway hires, everyone who highway hires is they end up being able to drive more or less. So I would assume that we would have the same allowances. Yeah. Hey, it's just me. Sorry. Sorry about that.
Anything else from anyone? Nope. Okay, if you guys are wanting to move forward with this, then I would ask for a motion to purchase from the State of Connecticut Surplus Program for a cost of $6,205, a 2015 Chevy Silverado VIN number 1GCVKPEC 2FZ210146.
Can we just say so moved?
Yes, yeah, that's why I read it out.
And I shall say so moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 I'll abstain. John is abstaining.
Okay. Any opposed?
Yes.
Oh, you're opposed, John, not abstaining.
Yeah, I'm opposed. Sorry.
Okay.
John, do you have are we at the discussion part of this yet? Do you have
We already-
I think
something-
we already discussed, but the motion carries, but you can speak to John.
Okay, do you have
about it.
some-
You can ask about it.
Is there something you're concerned about?
I mean, there wasn't too many good pictures underneath the truck. And it's the mileage on there's, you know, it all depends on who's driving it. But to me, I mean, it looks like it might be a money pit. So I would just abstain. I mean, I'll vote no on it. I mean, I realize that the value of these used trucks are really high. I mean, my car, when I purchased it, is back to where the normal value was years ago. So, I mean, it's insane. But yeah, I just can't, you know, I can't just see that spending on that. So.
Okay, understood.
That's fair. Okay, moving along to the next item, the job description for the rec aide. So, I'm not sure if, any of you had a chance to watch the Board of Selectmen meeting from this week. But when we hired Shane as a rec aide, we really should have had a job description before hiring him under a new title, since we kind of expanded the umbrella outside of just ASP counselor to rec aides so that they could also do summer camp and stuff like that, as we discussed. So Jared has put together a job description for this rec aide position, so that we can be on the up and up and have this on file. So hopefully people have had a chance to look at the supporting documents, but Jared, do you want to share the screen on the job description?
Yeah, just give me 1 second. Sorry, I had to
Yeah.
move.
Is it at all possible to email that job description to us? I haven't had a chance and I didn't see it come through. And I'll have an easier time reading it if I can zoom in.
It's in, if you have the backup open, it's in the folder for that. If you have the agenda open.
Yeah, do you have the agenda up, Abigail? If you click on the bottom link to supporting documents.
Okay. Sorry, I have some really hyped up children here today. Guys, I want you away from me, please. Sorry, I didn't realize that was being recorded.
You sound much nicer than I do most of the time.
So can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so basically we need to have a job description. And as I said, but previously, I think that we need to just start hiring these high school, college age, level kids who are going to be assisting with programs just under a general title of recreation aide. And the reason I believe that is because a lot of these kids want to continue working for us. And so then they're in the summer, we have to change their title to camp counselor. Then in the fall, we have to change it back to ASP assistant. And really, at the end of the day, the nature of their work still remains the same. They're assisting with our programs. They're aiding in our programs. They're aiding in recreation aid. So basically, I took this as a job description template that Jean sent to me, and I just filled in the blanks. She had all these titles: purpose of job class, supervision received, etc. And I just filled everything in. I took a lot of this from recreation aid is a general title used basically in any state in the country. So I just went through a bunch on Indeed and took out the things that I thought worked and then added in the things that I thought were specific to Kent Park and Recreation, and what I felt that the title, the person working in the title would need to be able to do. So do you guys want me to read this line by line, or how do you want me to go about it? I'm assuming most people haven't had a chance to really look at it.
If you can scan down a little bit more, it'd be fine.
Okay, so this looks like it's the whole first page right there.
I think that I believe I'm seeing in this that is this person's always under the supervision of another, and they're never running a program on their own. Is that
No,
in
not
here?
always. For example, if we need someone to come and like open the door or whatnot, to do the door at the school, they're not necessarily going to have someone who is supervising them there at that point in time. So I would say more often than not, yes, but it says, as it says, supervision received may work independently and or under the supervision of park and recreation employees in higher positions, including program directors, recreation leaders, and or the director of park and recreation.
But any person, Abigail, just to clarify, any person ever being hired under this job description is not being hired as a director. They would not be being hired as a rec aide to then on their own run summer camp or ASP.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
They'd
Yeah,
be
that-
aiding in the
that-
program, but they may not be, depending on what task they're being asked to do, they may not necessarily need supervision for that.
Yeah, they might be the last person at the field one night picking up garbage left behind,
Exactly.
but
Yeah, I think that's like just the bit there is just yeah, and I think that this is perhaps something that I maybe leaned into what I was hearing. If I recall correctly, when we have people that we hire to engage with the children, for instance, we background check them and they go through like a series of gates to be sure that that person, that's the like appropriate person to have. with
that's
kids.
correct.
And so, this to me is like, and I have not read this in detail, and so I'm asking for those who know more detail if this person is not somebody who's working alone with kids, therefore doesn't go through those gates, or this person is someone that works alone with kids and does go through those gates.
No, if we hired someone under the rec aide description, they, like other people we've hired, and like Shane, who was hired as a rec aide by us, would go through background checks.
Don't you think then we should probably add something? I was gonna say the same, something similar. We should say something about being properly vetted to
It does say that down on the second page.
ability to speak in and lead small groups of children and or parents. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
Oh, here.
to
Oh,
and
okay.
pass a background check.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I didn't see that. All right.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I can't, unfortunately, I can't show the whole screen on here, so.
Yeah.
And so the thing that we overlooked here was the job description in the interview, right?
The thing that we overlooked is that we, rather than hiring
Don't worry about it.
someone as an ASP counselor, an after-school program counselor, we hired them as a rec aide when we made the motion. So that they'd fall under this umbrella, but we did not yet have a job description for a rec aide and what they do. If you guys can remember, we had someone leave ASP, and on short notice needed to fill the position. Jared had worked with Shane before and had a lot of experience with him. So we then hired him as one of the ASP counselors. The ASP directors and the camp directors, those positions have to go through us and have interviews with one of the commission members, and then also the recommendation goes to the Board of Selectmen before they're actually hired. But for the really part-time positions like this, that's up to the rec commission. It's hiring discretion. I believe I have that correct, right, Jared?
Sounded all correct to me.
Yeah, that's how I remember it. And I think we also asked when we hired that we would get an update at the monthly meetings of what
We're
this-
spending on, yeah.
Yeah.
So legally, we didn't have this description for their position. So how does that work out?
You know, John, I don't know that it's necessarily like we are not that I am aware of, and I could be wrong and I can double check this. I do not believe that we are legally required to have this job description. I believe that it is a best practice, and some people in town hall who are involved in hiring, like have set up interviews for us and stuff like that. Just wanted to make sure that everyone was clear on the best practices for hiring. But the Board of Selectmen did not have specific rules around hiring someone like this, who's just going to be there for the most part, like 2.5 to 3 hours a day, not every day necessarily. But because it was brought up by someone in town hall who was involved in hiring, they wanted clarification around it. And we said, well, we'll certainly make sure that we have a job description for this and put it together to try to collaborate and work together with everyone to make sure everybody's on the same page.
So we're gonna put this out again for in the papers? I think that was one of the questions some of those people did ask at the
It was one
town-
of the questions asked, but I believe that the Board of Selectmen had said earlier in the meeting before that was asked that in situations like this where the alternative would be to close down ASP because you don't have the proper counselor to student ratio, that sometimes like you need to be able to act sometimes, and they didn't want to do anything to prohibit ASP from being open if there were somebody that we had worked with before. So I don't necessarily think that we need to now go out and advertise for a job that we've filled.
Yeah, to back that up, I agree. I think that we should at some point in time do that, so we have a bank of people. You know, the best setup would be that we have a staff, and that when people can't make it or whatever else, we have other people who are able to work. But I think right now, we got a lot of different things we're working on, and that's something we will certainly get to. But right now we have Shane, we have Lizzie, we have Tom, and we're moving right along pretty well. But I do think ultimately growing that bank of, well, I guess we could call them like junior staff, basically, the lowest level rec aides. I think growing that, bank of employees would be great. And ultimately we will get there for sure.
And this is something that we went through last year when we had issues with staffing in ASP. Like there were times where we'd have to come together as a group and quickly find somebody to hire. Luckily, a lot of those people that we did hire last year have really worked out and continued to stick around. But with this, I think the real sticking point was that we were hiring under a new job name, recreation aide, instead of after school counselor. And I believe there was also a question as to the salary that we hired them at, since it wasn't a lengthy discussion, but we hired them at minimum wage and the same rate that the other ASP counselors were getting.
Yeah. I don't remember what the question was from the resident, but I felt this was pretty straightforward when you're hiring someone at minimum wage. So.
But our purpose of putting together this job description and putting it in front of the commission this evening is, one, to make sure we have the job description for Shane's role, what he's been hired as, for him specifically, but also going forward, if we hire anyone else under the job description, recreation aide, whether someone else from ASP leaves or summer starts and we need another counselor, stuff like that, so that we have it when we need to act next time.
Yeah, and this puts us in a really good position, obviously, moving forward as we begin to kind of establish the new look of this department, establishing, more a clear hierarchy and, titles that really allow us to have people working in all parts of recreation. This really puts us in a good position moving forward now. If obviously we'll probably approve this, and once we do, this will allow us to hire people, to really, whether it be working down at the fields to help get ready for baseball, whether it be, getting ready for a special event. We now have people who can do anything without working out of title. So.
Or having to hold a special meeting to hire them for that specific thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is awesome. I think it's great progress. And all I ask is what I asked when we made this, conceived this when you brought it to us, Jared, is that this commission has clear understanding of what these people are doing and how they're being utilized, and that we get that on a monthly basis.
I'll go, just the one thing I'd say, I feel like we ended up settling on doing it, like getting that report on a quarterly basis. I'm not totally positive. It might have been monthly, but Abigail, we will go back and check and make sure whatever it was that was discussed is what we do.
I don't remember if it was monthly or quarterly. I know Blythe had
Yeah,
some
I'm
thoughts on
not
it too.
positive either.
I just think I think it's a new, because
Yeah.
this is a new model, it's good to have that information.
I agree. I agree. John, did you have any other questions?
No, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I think we're not
I don't
finished
know
yet.
that we're ready to adjourn yet. I think that we're gonna close out this piece of business. Could I have?
But
or-
wait, before any motion, is there anything that needed to be changed on here? Did you guys, everything look good?
It looks good.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
Okay, so then when we make the motion, we don't have to be like, oh, well, we should change this or that. So, okay, good, excellent.
Okay, could we have a motion to approve the recreation aid job description as attached in our supporting documents?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Who was that in
Any-
the second?
Abigail,
Thank you.
any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
aye.
Okay, great, motion carries. And that is it for our special meeting. So I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 5:40 PM.
Thanks for all this information you brought to the meeting and the discussion. Appreciate it.
Great,
And
thank you.
Thanks again for serving again, as commissioner, Julia, thanks.
Oh, thank you guys.
you're here.
I second that.
Thank you.
Toodles.
Thanks, Jared.
Take care, guys. Have a great night.
You too.